Welcome to another edition of our Stay Smart newsletter and podcast, brought to you by Viciniti Corporate Housing. Today we're coming to you from my office. It's a little rainy outside, so today we'll be talking about corporate housing, business travel, Airbnb, things that we think are going to be relevant to you and to your customers. And that's what we try to do here at Stay Smart, is keep you updated on what we see happening in the industry. So the first article actually came out in June. Mint House launched their newest building in Washington, D.C. It's an 85-unit apartment building, kind of their apart hotel model, furnished accommodations for short-term stays, long-term stays. This is their second building to come online this year. Previously it was Madison, Wisconsin. As they continue their expansion after acquiring Locale, we've seen a lot of growth in this segment, kind of this apart hotel segment in travel, whether it's Mint House or Placemaker or Locale. We've seen a lot of these companies. I talked to a lot of them at GBTA that we'll talk a little bit later in this podcast about. And then the next article is about Relocation and Altavita announcing a partnership. These are two kind of tech-enabled companies. Altavita is a tech-enabled furnished accommodation platform. Relocity is a AI tech-enabled relocation platform, and they're just integrating these two systems. Seems to make a lot of sense. Like I said, they're both tech-enabled companies, and it's going to take Altavita's furnished accommodations platform and integrate this with Relocity's relocation platform. So I think it'll be interesting to see if we see more partnerships like this moving forward, where we're really kind of direct access into a partner's network. And the next article is about Airbnb. There's California is suing Airbnb for price gouging. So there's a lot to take here, a lot to take on this article. So California does have a anti-price gouging law of 10%. And after the wildfires, the LA wildfires earlier this year, they say that Airbnb, kind of that 2-week period afterwards, had rates above 10%. And it's interesting because Airbnb does have this smart pricing tool. It's a logarithm that kind of matches demand to price, and individual hosts use that pricing tool to set their prices. I think it's interesting though, because Airbnb doesn't set these prices. The individual hosts set these prices. They take the pricing data suggestions that Airbnb puts together and they set their pricing. So obviously there were some hosts that were going above that 10% price. And California is saying that Airbnb didn't do enough to curtail that practice. So whether that's prohibiting them from doing those price increases or fining them or penalizing the host, I don't know what they're going to do. I think Airbnb is saying we don't set the price. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I think there's going to be more to come out on this, but really interesting to see, that price gouging lawsuit against Airbnb. And then finally is a GBTA conference that was a couple weeks ago in Denver. It was a great conference. If you want kind of a more detailed overview of our take on the conference, Mark Champagne put out a recap of the conference in our Stay Smart newsletter, and it's on our LinkedIn page and on our website, so take a look at that. And also Mark Champagne won a service award, a GBTA service award, for his volunteer efforts within GBTA, in particular his government liaison position with the GBTA Kansas City chapter. So congratulations to Mark, and if you want to see kind of a broader review of GBTA conference, go ahead and read that from Mark. But there's some kind of key takeaways from that conference. There was over 5,000 attendees, over 1,100 travel buyers at the conference. So a lot of people, there's a lot of positive news that came out of that. Seems very energized. The forecast that GBTA put out for this year, for 2025, is $1.57 trillion in travel spend, which would be a little over a 6.5% increase from the previous year. And they're even forecasting a higher increase next year. And their forecast for 2029, at the end of the decade, is $2 trillion in business travel spend globally. So really good information about GBTA. But like I said, if you want to get more information, look at that recap that Mark put together. And congratulations, Mark, on your service award there. So that's what I see transitioning this week. If there's anything else you'd like to hear us talk about, please let us know. But otherwise, take care, everyone.